the Scythian Kings and the Golden Pipes. The story of the Scythian Kings and the Golden Pipes opens up an entirely different perspective on the life and culture of a nomadic people who once ruled the vast steppes stretching from Eastern Europe all the way to Central Asia. In 2013, archaeologists in Russia unexpectedly discovered two smoking pipes made entirely from solid gold inside an ancient burial mound, dating back as far as 2,400 years. This discovery not only stunned the research community but also revealed many secrets about the luxurious lifestyle and even the strange recreational habits of the Scythian nobility in ancient times. The Scythians were already famous as formidable nomads. They were passionate about horses and extremely wealthy with their glittering gold treasures. But few people know that they were also true masters of partying. The ancient burial site where archaeologists made the discovery did not just contain two golden pipes, but also gold necklaces and golden cups, with a total of nearly 3 kilograms of pure gold buried with the owner. Those golden pipes were at first considered nothing more than decorative objects, but when scientists examined the black residue inside, they discovered traces of cannabis and opium. Chemical analysis confirmed that the owner of the tomb not only possessed luxurious objects, but had actually used them to smoke some of the most powerful intoxicants of the ancient world. This immediately makes people think of lavish feasts, where Scythian kings and the nobility would sip wine and lose themselves in the magical smoke of cannabis and opium. It was not only modern archaeologists who discovered this, but more than 2,000 years ago, the Greek historian Herodotus had already described in detail the recreational customs of the Scythians. In his records, he wrote that the Scythians would burn cannabis inside closed tents and then inhale the smoke together until they felt intoxicated and could not stop shouting. These descriptions, together with today's archaeological evidence, show that Scythian culture was not only distinguished by its bravery on the battlefield, but also by its bold way of enjoying life. The Paracas Candelabra. Rising above the northern face of the Paracas Peninsula in Peru, a gigantic and mysterious symbol is carved across the barren hillside. This is the Paracas Candelabra, a geoglyph nearly 600 feet tall, visible from more than 12 miles out at sea. The figure, resembling either a trident or a candelabra, was lightly etched into the landscape by the Paracas culture around 200 BC, although some believe it may be even older. By cutting 2 feet deep into the sandstone and arranging stones along the edges, its creators ensured that the symbol would endure for centuries against the harsh desert weather. But the question remains, why was it created? The first Spaniards to see the Paracas Candelabra believed it represented the Holy Trinity, considering it a divine sign for their mission. Later, explorers have offered a range of theories, from Eric von Däniken's idea that it was a landing marker for extraterrestrials, to the notion that it served as a navigational tool for ancient sailors. Its high visibility from the sea lends weight to this latter theory, suggesting it may have guided sailors through the hazardous coastal waters in the area. Others have proposed even more intriguing possibilities. Some Peruvian researchers suggest it may have been an advanced seismic measuring device capable of detecting earthquake waves from distant regions. Some believe the geoglyph is a tribute to Viracocha, the god of storms and light. Others connect it to the hallucinogenic Jimson weed plant, proposing that the design helped traders find their way home after journeys of commerce. More practical theories suggest it symbolizes a species of diving bird, revered by the Paracas people, since these birds could lead them to waters rich in seafood. The creation of the Paracas Candelabra shares striking similarities with the Nazca lines further inland, leading some to speculate about a cultural or spiritual connection between the two sites. Both display an exceptional understanding of proportion and design, yet despite centuries of speculation, there is still no widely accepted explanation for its true purpose. Whether it was a religious symbol, a maritime navigation aid, or the product of scientific knowledge far ahead of its time, the Paracas Candelabra may ultimately reflect the deep bond its creators felt with the natural forces that governed their world. The Nebra Sky Disk. The Nebra Sky Disk is one of humanity's oldest known astronomical star maps. Although it measures only 30 centimeters across, its bronze surface shines with golden circles and arcs that gleam like the very stars they might represent. Yet behind that mesmerizing design lies one of archaeology's oldest mysteries. Is this truly the most ancient cosmic map in the world? Or is it a later artifact tied to legend and symbolism? Discovered in 1999 by illegal treasure hunters on the Mittelberg Hill in Germany, the disc was found alongside bronze swords, axes, and spiral bracelets. The finders quickly sold these artifacts on the black market, unaware that they were setting off a series of forensic investigations and fierce academic debates. By 2002, police had recovered the disc in a dramatic sting operation, leading to the conviction of the looters and a careful examination of the find site. Soil analysis and radiometric dating linked the disc to around 1600 BC, consistent with the Unitas culture of the early Bronze Age. This led many researchers to hail it as the oldest known depiction of the ancient sky. Beyond its striking design, the Nebra sky disk hints at an advanced astronomical knowledge possessed by people of the past. The golden arcs align with the solstice points, revealing a complex understanding of the sun's annual cycle, while the cluster of 7 small dots, often interpreted as the Pleiades, shows evidence of highly precise sky watching. Some scholars believe the disk may have served as a practical tool for synchronizing the solar and lunar calendars, a function of immense importance for agricultural societies that needed to determine the timing of their crops with accuracy. However, a controversial study in 2020 challenged these conclusions. Researchers Rupert Gebhard and Rudiger Krauss argued that the motifs and manufacturing techniques of the disk fit better with the Iron Age, over 1,000 years later than previously thought. They cast doubt on whether the disk was actually buried with Bronze Age artifacts, suggesting the entire hoard might have been artificially assembled to increase its value on the black market. Other skeptics have also questioned the astronomical interpretations, proposing that motifs like the Pleiades cluster may reflect cultural symbolism rather than precise scientific knowledge. Despite all the debate, the Nebra sky disk remains a breathtaking archaeological wonder. If the golden arcs truly represent the sun's positions, it stands as evidence of sophisticated astronomical knowledge in the Bronze Age. On the other hand, if Gebhard's Iron Age theory is correct, then the disk reveals a dazzling tradition of cosmic symbolism and artistry, flourishing in a later period. The astronomical knowledge of the Dogon people in Mali. Beneath the shadow of the Bandiagra cliffs in Mali, the Dogon people have passed down stories for centuries that seem to defy the explanations of modern science. They describe the star Sirius not merely as a bright point in the sky, but as part of a complex system invisible to the naked eye. According to their ancient legends, Sirius has a companion star, a small star whose existence Western astronomers did not confirm until 1970, yet the Dogon had known of it for centuries. The Dogon say that this knowledge came from the Nomo, amphibious beings who descended from the sky in a basket-shaped vessel. These beings are said to have taught the Dogon about the universe, granting them detailed knowledge of celestial bodies. The Namo are described as having the upper body of a human and the lower body of a serpent, a depiction that immediately brings to mind mythology from Mesopotamia and many other cultures. The stories of these extraterrestrial visitors align in a strangely precise way with certain astronomical facts we recognize today. The earliest Dogon priests shared their knowledge of Sirius with French anthropologists Marcel Grial and Germaine Dieterlen in the 1930s. After living with the Dogon for 15 years, these researchers recorded the tribe's assertion that Sirius B moves in an elliptical orbit lasting 50 years. Modern science has confirmed this. Sirius B is a white dwarf, extremely dense and impossible to observe with simple telescopes. The Dogon also spoke of a third star named Emeya. Although this star has not yet been confirmed, it remains a possibility under scientific investigation. Skeptics like Carl Sagan have suggested that the Dogon may have acquired this knowledge from Western sources. For example, French astronomers visited the region in 1893 during a solar eclipse, possibly sharing modern astronomical information. However, this explanation still does not fully account for the depth and systematic nature of the Dogon's cosmic worldview. Talos, the killer robot of Greek mythology. When people talk about the technological mysteries of the ancient world, they often think of the pyramids of Egypt or the massive stone structures of the Inca civilization. Yet few realize that Greek mythology once told the story of what could be considered humanity's very first killer robot, a figure known as Talos. Talos was not an ordinary warrior, but a bronze being meticulously forged by the divine hands of Hephaestus, the god of the forge. Talos's purpose was not to conquer or wage war, but to protect the island of Crete from any external threat. According to legend, every day Talos would patrol the entire coastline of Crete 3 times without ever growing weary. His bronze eyes observed every movement on the water, listening for the slightest sound to detect any threat approaching the shore in time. When a strange ship appeared on the horizon, Talos would hurl massive stones straight into the sea, terrifying enemies into fleeing, or, if necessary, he would unleash a scorching breath like molten lava to incinerate anyone daring to set foot on land. Talos' strength lay not only in his size and defensive abilities, but also in his seemingly endless endurance, for he needed neither food nor rest like ordinary humans, and he knew neither pain nor fear. What set Talos apart from any other mythical creature was the way he operated. According to legend, inside his enormous bronze body did not flow blood and flesh like humans, but a sacred fluid called ichor. This ichor coursed throughout Talos' body, granting him both strength and life, and it was kept inside by a large nail fastened tightly at his ankle. For countless years, Talos kept his vow to protect Crete. No one could harm him until the Greek heroes arrived and used their intelligence to overcome brute strength. The end of Talos' story is both dramatic and tragic. When the Argonauts, led by Jason, reached Crete, they realized that brute force could not defeat Talos, so they turned to the help of the sorceress Medea. With her magical skills and remarkable intelligence, Medea bewitched Talos and made him remove the nail from his ankle himself. The precious ichor then flowed out, and in an instant, all the life force of this giant automaton vanished. The story of Talos is not simply an ancient legend, but invites later generations to reflect on the possibilities of creating automatic machines in the past. Many modern scholars believe that the image of Talos may originate from faint memories of mechanical devices or primitive robots that once appeared in history. Evidence of this includes the existence of the Antikythera mechanism, an ancient mechanical computer over 2,000 years old. Whether Talos truly existed or was merely a product of imagination, the image of the giant automaton patrolling Crete has become an enduring symbol of the thin line between science and myth. The ancient clone army, Russia, and previously the Soviet Union, has long been known for its unconventional military strategies. But a 2021 proposal by Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu surpassed all boundaries of imagination: the creation of an ancient clone army. Shoigu hinted at a plan that many consider outlandish: extracting DNA from the remains of Thean warriors and using this genetic material to enhance the power of the Russian military. The Scythians, who originated in the region of modern-day Iran, were notoriously fierce, nomadic people who roamed across Eurasia from the 9th century BC to the 2nd century BC. They were famous for their combat skills and are recognized by military historians as some of the most formidable warriors in history. Descriptions of these warriors' appearances vary. Some accounts describe them as short and stocky, while others claim they were over 2 meters tall. The remains Shoigu wants to clone are those of royal Scythian warriors discovered 2 decades ago in the Valley of the Kings, located in the Tuva Republic of Siberia. According to Shoigu, Russian officials are very eager to find this organic material, and I think you understand what will happen next. Speaking before the Russian Geographical Society, he also mentioned the possibility of cloning horses, given the Scythians' legendary horsemanship. The Scythian cavalry won many crucial victories over the Samaritans and Thracians, with their renowned technique of shooting arrows while riding at full gallop. Scythian archers could accurately shoot from horseback at high speed, combining mobility and strength to make them a truly formidable opponent. The Scythians also had distinctive combat customs, including body painting and tattooing, believing that these practices could provide magical strength and protection in battle. The image of ancient horsemen returning to modern battlefields, armed with traditional weapons like short swords and axes, has captivated the public's curiosity, even as everyone knows that, for now, this plan remains nothing more than a controversial idea. Ancient technology beyond explanation. The Osirion in Egypt. The Osirion is a mysterious structure located in the ancient city of Abydos, behind the temple of Seti I. This monument was discovered in 1902 by 2 renowned archaeologists, Flinders Petrie and Margaret Murray. When they uncovered the Osirion, the entire archaeological world was astonished by the remarkable features this site presented. Unlike most of Egypt's famous ancient monuments, the Osirion contains no hieroglyphic inscriptions, no images of gods or pharaohs, and no wall paintings depicting mythological or ritual scenes. All the walls here are perfectly smooth, as if their creators deliberately intended them to be that way. The most striking feature of the Osirion is its enormous stone blocks, some weighing up to 200 tons, cut and fitted together with such precision that even modern engineers are left in awe. People cannot fathom how, with ancient technology, such gigantic stones could have been transported and arranged, especially considering the technological limitations of that era. Even more remarkable is that the entire structure lies deep beneath the Seti I temple, resembling a secret underground chamber that existed long before the temple was built above it. This has led researchers to theorize that the Osirion may be far older than any of the other renowned monuments from the time of the pharaohs. The signs of erosion on the stone blocks at the Osirion reveal yet another profound mystery. Many geologists have observed that these erosion marks could only have formed as a result of prolonged heavy rainfall, whereas the climate in Egypt today has not seen such conditions for at least 12,000 years. This has prompted many scholars to question whether the Osirion could have been built in a much more ancient era, one in which Egypt was still a wet, green land. Because of these extraordinary details, the Osirion has long been the focal point of controversial theories. Some believe it is a surviving product of a forgotten civilization, while others even link it to mysterious entities such as the Anunnaki or extraterrestrials. And the Osirion is not alone. Many experts suspect that other famous sites, like the Sphinx, the Valley Temple, and even the Great Pyramids themselves, may have appeared before the age of the pharaohs. If true, these monuments would belong to a mysterious period in Egypt's history, one whose secrets humanity has yet to uncover. The golden hats. Discovered in fields and forests across Germany and France over the past 2 centuries, these golden hats seem to lie beyond our very own understanding. Who once wore them? And why were they buried, as if to hide their mysteries from the march of time? The first hat was uncovered in 1835 by a farmer in Schifferstadt, Germany. A thin sheet of gold, expertly forged into a tall cone, stood upright in a pit, along with bronze axe heads, arranged with apparent reverence. Soon after, more and even taller hats were found. The Aventon golden hat in France, the strikingly tall Eselsdorf Buch golden hat in Germany, and the Berlin golden hat, whose origins remain obscure after surfacing on the antiquities market. These hats range in height from 30 to 88 centimeters and are adorned with exquisitely repeating patterns, circles, stars, and symbols whose meanings remain unclear to this day. The motifs are embossed and engraved on their surfaces, and modern researchers now believe they encode a kind of solar-lunar calendar, capable of tracking the movements of the sun and moon with impressive accuracy. In an age when survival depended on knowledge of the heavens, such wisdom would have equaled ultimate power. Those who wore the golden hats must have held a special position in society. They may have been priests, or perhaps even sorcerers. It is possible they used their astronomical knowledge to predict harvests and regulate the rhythms of community life. Yet, these golden hats raise more questions than answers. Why were they so carefully buried in remote places? Were they offerings to forgotten gods, or tools of knowledge meant to be hidden away? The symbols etched onto their surfaces also suggest mathematical formulas. To this day, the secrets of the golden hats remain buried with the passage of time. Maritime technology, from 40,000 years ago in Southeast Asia. When it comes to the history of seafaring, most people tend to think of the voyages of the Phoenicians, the Polynesians, or the European explorers. Yet recent archaeological discoveries in Southeast Asia have completely redrawn our map of human maritime skill in prehistoric times. At ancient sites in the Philippines and Indonesia, scientists have found evidence that tens of thousands of years ago, prehistoric people in this region already knew how to make ropes from plant fibers, wove nets for fishing, and created the earliest fish hooks, tools that may seem simple, but represented a decisive turning point, allowing humans to leave the safety of shore, venture out onto the open sea, hunt large fish, and face challenges never seen before. These discoveries have astonished the global scientific community. If prehistoric people in Southeast Asia were making ropes and nets so early, they must have possessed vessels sturdy enough to cross the heavy waves offshore. This means they had mastered the art of boat building, paddle making, and even navigation across vast waters, using only the simplest tools. Examining archaeological remains, experts have found traces of tightly braided ropes, fossilized net fragments, and even charred pieces of wood believed to be parts of ancient boats. All of these have been dated to around 40,000 years ago, far earlier than any previously recorded maritime achievement in the West. Their achievements were not limited to building boats or weaving nets. Prehistoric people in this region also left behind evidence of complex fishing tools, such as bonefish hooks, which enabled them to catch large species like tuna. To catch such fish, they could not have stayed close to shore, They must have traveled dozens of kilometers out to sea, understanding ocean currents, fish migration seasons, and natural phenomena on the water. This has led many researchers to ask a much larger question. As far back as 40,000 years ago, could ancient communities in Southeast Asia have crossed oceans, moved between islands, or even reached distant, unknown lands? All of this not only changes our perception of prehistoric civilization's advancement, but also raises a deeper mystery about the origin of such sophisticated maritime knowledge. And just how far did they travel on the endless ocean, leaving behind stories never recorded in books? Stories that even today remain some of the greatest unanswered questions on the archaeological map of humanity. The legend of Hyperborea in ancient Greek texts. In ancient Greek texts, Hyperborea is described as a mysterious civilization located at the far northern edge of the earth. While mainstream historians have long regarded Hyperborea as a mythical land, the possibility that it may have actually existed first arose in 1921 when the Soviet government sent the researcher and biologist Alexander Barchenko to the Arctic Circle to investigate a strange case of mass panic among the indigenous Sami people. What Barchenko reported back far exceeded the expectations of Soviet authorities. Considered a rational and reliable man, Barchenko described an Arctic landscape scattered with ancient relics, such as pyramids and other mystical formations. Most notably, he told of a vast chasm that could not be crossed due to an invisible force field, where both sea and land seemed to collapse into the earth. Despite skepticism from others, Barchenko insisted he had discovered the remnants of the forgotten civilization of Hyperborea. He believed the Hyperboreans had abandoned their homeland due to climate change, and even speculated that Hyperborea was merely an outpost of a much greater kingdom stretching across the chasm and deep into the earth. The name Hyperborea originates from Greek, in which hyper means beyond and Boreas is the name of the north wind god. Thus, Hyperborea literally means beyond the north wind, an apt name for a land of mystery on the edge of the known world. Ancient Greek sources such as Pindar and Herodotus described Hyperborea as a utopia where people lived for 1,000 years and experienced absolute happiness. These legends were compiled by Hecataeus of Abdera in the 4th century BC, telling of a land where the sun rose and set only once each year. According to legend, the Bodes, descendants of Bos and the snow goddess Shion, established the world's first theocratic monarchy in Hyperborea. These Bodes were said to be giants, standing up to 10 feet tall, acting as kings and guardians of sacred territory, passing down their rule through many generations. Later, several Soviet-sponsored expeditions attempted to find Hyperborea but found no conclusive evidence. Nevertheless, there are still people who claim to be descendants of the Hyperborean race, including some extremist groups who believe that modern Russians are the true descendants of Hyperborea, or even that the Hyperboreans were extraterrestrial beings. These theories blend myth and nationalism, but many still believe that one day, Hyperborea will truly be discovered on Russian soil. The War Machines of Rome. In the final years of the Roman Empire, when the shadow of collapse was quietly spreading across Europe, a unique work appeared called De Rebus Bellicis, which can be translated as Matters of War. This book was written in the 4th century, during a chaotic period when Roman cities were constantly ravaged by the Goths, Vandals, and Huns. It was also a time when the boldest minds of Rome began to imagine inventions that went far beyond the familiar boundaries of ancient warfare. Reading De Rebus Bellicis, people cannot help but be amazed by ideas that were so far ahead of their time, almost impossible to believe. The anonymous author of the book described armored warships, reinforced with strong outer shells capable of withstanding flaming arrows and all kinds of enemy projectiles. Not only did these warships protect their crews from danger, they were also equipped with automatic arrow-firing mechanisms, creating a true rain of arrows whenever they went into battle on great rivers or at sea. But that was not all. The book also described large catapults capable of destroying entire city walls with a single shot, along with mobile siege towers pulled by powerful herds of oxen. These vehicles moved slowly but surely, carrying giant catapults and attacking soldiers as they advanced toward the fortress, opening a new chapter in Roman siege tactics. Thanks to these siege towers, the idea of using animals as part of the war machine was raised to a whole new level. The most impressive, and also the most controversial, was the design of the very first armored tanks in history, huge vehicles surrounded by shields of iron or bronze with infantry and archers inside. When going into battle, They would fire a rain of arrows through small slits on the sides, moving across the battlefield with almost complete protection from arrows and light weapons. That image immediately brings to mind modern tanks, even though such a concept did not exist in history more than 1,000 years ago. However, unfortunately, most of these bold inventions were never actually put to use on the battlefield. The reason is that those ideas were far beyond the technical capabilities, resources, and real conditions of late ancient Rome. As the nomadic tribes continued to invade, resources ran out, and the social foundations crumbled. The Roman Empire no longer had the strength to realize those technological dreams. And then, not long after, De Rebus Bellicis appeared. That great empire officially collapsed, closing a glorious chapter in human history. Pre-Deluge civilizations. If human history only began with the earliest civilizations like Egypt, Mesopotamia, or the Indus Valley, then archaeological discoveries over the past few decades have continuously raised questions that have shaken all classic assumptions more than ever before. Hidden deep beneath the dust of time are magnificent structures bearing the traces of a civilization that may have once flourished brilliantly, only to vanish suddenly. In the arid lands of southeastern Turkey, the ruins of Göbekli Tepe have quietly endured for more than 10,000 years. Standing tall with massive stone pillars, intricately carved with animal figures and mysterious symbols that modern humans have yet to fully decipher. The strangest thing is that Göbekli Tepe has been dated to around 9,600 BCE, meaning it was built thousands of years before the pyramids of Egypt. These massive stones arranged in circles and interconnected like a gigantic astronomical monument would have required hundreds, if not thousands, of people working together to construct, something that traditional theories about hunter-gatherer societies of that time can hardly explain, not only on land, but also beneath the ocean. A series of submerged structures are gradually revealing long-forgotten ancient mysteries. Beneath the deep blue waters off the coast of Yonaguni Island in Japan, enormous stone blocks with sharp, angular edges, resembling steps, passageways, and even architectural traces, seem to prove that this was once a real city swallowed by the sea tens of thousands of years ago. In the Bahamas, the Bimini Road stretches out like a stone avenue deep underwater, reminiscent of legends about Atlantis, a city destroyed by a catastrophe that no one truly understands. Further southwest, the ancient city of Dwarka in India has also been confirmed to exist beneath the sea, with foundations, stone columns, and artifacts that predate any historical record ever known on the subcontinent. All these discoveries have prompted researchers to propose the bold hypothesis that before a global deluge, humanity may once have possessed one or even several advanced civilizations in terms of architecture, engineering, and knowledge, whose level of development could rival or even surpass those of later societies. The event of the Great Flood erased almost every trace, forcing humanity to start over from the beginning, so that the stories of sunken cities, ancient stone pillars, or underwater avenues have become the remaining fragments that later generations can only quietly gather and try to piece together into a complete picture of the past. Ancient lens technology. When discussing the history of scientific and technological development, we often assume that lenses, telescopes, or energy mirrors only truly appeared in the modern era, closely associated with European scholars and inventions that changed humanity's understanding of the universe. However, if one is willing to follow the trail of archaeological discoveries and scattered records from ancient civilizations, it becomes clear that reality is far different from what mainstream history textbooks still teach in schools. Even in ancient times, materials such as lenses, glass mirrors, and even large converging mirrors already existed. In Assyria, archaeologists have uncovered fragments of lenses crafted from natural volcanic stone such as quartz or obsidian, shaped and curved in such a way that they could amplify light and create magnifying effects comparable to what only modern magnifying glasses can achieve. These artifacts date back thousands of years before Christ, far earlier than what mainstream science once believed to be the starting point of optical technology. It wasn't just the Assyrians. Many other civilizations also left behind compelling evidence of using mirrors and lenses for purposes beyond everyday life. In ancient Egypt, scholars discovered bronze and silver mirrors that had been polished to absolute smoothness, used to reflect light deep into pyramids or tombs. In Greece and Rome, legend has it that Archimedes used a system of converging mirrors to focus sunlight and set enemy warships ablaze. while in ancient China, intricately crafted magic mirrors could generate beams of light so powerful they could ignite flammable materials when the intensity was right. What is remarkable is that although, according to mainstream accounts, the telescope was only invented in the 16th century, much archaeological evidence suggests that people had been using magnifying glasses, lenses, or even rudimentary telescopes long before that. Some theories propose that Assyrian, Babylonian astrologers, or Egyptian priests once observed the night sky through tubes made of gemstones or glass, allowing them to detect planets or special celestial phenomena invisible to the naked eye. Many artifacts discovered in the Middle East, and even South America, closely resemble converging lenses or parts of ancient telescopic devices, suggesting that the optical technology of ancient peoples may have far surpassed the imagination of their own era. All these pieces of evidence are gradually challenging the traditional viewpoint that it was not until Galileo's time that humanity became aware of the telescope and the use of lenses for studying the universe. Perhaps, hidden somewhere in the secret treasures of the past, there once existed unknown inventors, master craftsmen, or civilizations who unlocked the mysteries of light and energy long before history had a chance to record their names. The mystery of Mohenjo-Daro and the ancient nuclear war hypothesis. In the deserts of southern Pakistan, there is an archaeological site that modern science cannot explain. It is a city frozen in time, now shrouded in mystery, and whispers about lost civilizations. Welcome to Mohenjo-Daro, a place that was once a bustling metropolis at the height of the ancient Indus Valley civilization. The remains of this city have puzzled researchers for nearly a century. But why did this city, more than 4,000 years old, suddenly disappear from history? Was it some catastrophic event that wiped it off the map, even turning part of it into glass? Mohenjo-Daro was discovered in 1922 by the Indian archaeologist R.D. Banerjee. Located on the banks of the Indus River, what the world learned through excavations was the astonishing complexity of this civilization. At its peak, Mohenjo-Daro was home to as many as 40,000 residents. But what truly drew attention was the city's infrastructure, a grid-patterned city layout with an advanced drainage system and meticulously constructed houses made of fired bricks. This was a city so well organized that it could rival modern urban planning techniques today. But who were the people who built this city, and what led to their mysterious disappearance? Let's begin by looking at what they constructed. The city was built with uniform fired bricks, some weighing more than 15 pounds. The scale of the city is impressive, spreading over more than 300 hectares, about the area of 500 football fields. Each house was carefully oriented in the proper cardinal direction. But how could an ancient civilization achieve such precision without modern technology? One thing that has baffled researchers the most about Mohenjo-Daro is the phenomenon in some areas where the ruins have been melted or turned into glass. The stones and sand here show signs of vitrification, the transformation of matter through intense heat into glass, something modern science usually only observes in nuclear explosions or powerful volcanic eruptions. However, geological surveys show there is no evidence of any volcanic activity or large-scale forest fires in the Mohenjo-Daro area throughout history. There is no evidence that this heat came from nature, nor any signs of massive fires caused by humans. The remains that have been turned into glass remain an unanswered question. From here, several bold hypotheses have been proposed. Could it be that in the past, Mohenjo-Daro witnessed some form of ancient technology capable of unleashing devastating power that modern science still cannot explain? The phenomenon of vitrification at Mohenjo-Daro remains a mystery, pushing scientists to keep searching for answers about what truly happened in this ancient city. One of the most controversial discoveries at Mohenjo-Daro is the human skeletons scattered along the streets and in different areas of the city. Archaeologists have found more than 40 such skeletons, and what's remarkable is that they were not buried according to any traditional rites. Most of these skeletons show no signs of trauma from violence. However, some are positioned as if they were fleeing or trying to protect themselves, suggesting the event that caused their deaths was completely sudden and terrifying. These postures have led many researchers to believe that the people of Mohenjo-Daro may have faced a sudden catastrophe, leaving them no chance to react. Theories have been offered about the cause of this mass death. Some suggest it was the result of a major natural disaster, such as a flood or some yet unidentified catastrophe. Yet there are other views which propose that the true cause might have come from some kind of ancient, high-tech weapon. The mystery of these skeletons still has no final answer, and it continues to be a hot topic of debate in archaeological circles. Returning to the hypothesis of an ancient nuclear disaster at Mohenjo-Daro, many people point to the evidence of vitrification and extremely high temperatures as proof that this city may have suffered an explosion with a force far beyond anything commonly understood. Notably, researchers also point out that at Mohenjo-Daro, there is no evidence of a large-scale war, no mass graves, and no traces of armed conflict. The skeletons found lie silently, as if the entire city was wiped out in a single fleeting moment. The absence of traditional signs of war only makes the hypothesis of an ancient high-tech disaster all the more haunting and difficult to explain. The fact that Mohenjo-Daro was abandoned almost instantly is one of the greatest mysteries of ancient history. Unlike many ancient cities that typically declined slowly over centuries due to war, climate change, or social transformation, Mohenjo-Daro seems to have fallen into ruin in a very short span of time. This suggests that there may have been a sudden and powerful event that left the inhabitants with no time to prepare or move their belongings. Observing this phenomenon, many researchers have connected it with the fate of other ancient civilizations around the world, such as Timbuktu in Africa, Petra in Jordan, and mysterious sites like the Baalbek structure in Lebanon and Mount Nemrut in Turkey. All of these places share the common trait of once having developed advanced technology, knowledge, and social organization. Yet they all ended in mysterious collapse, leaving behind monumental structures and countless questions that remain unanswered. Next, we will explore the most mysterious books of magic ever known. The Key of Solomon. The Key of Solomon is one of the most famous magical books and is often regarded as a classic in the world of grimoires. This book has had a far-reaching influence across many centuries and is still mentioned whenever people talk about ancient magic. Many believe that this book contains every secret of magic, from ways to curse one's enemies to simple spells that can be used in everyday life. Whenever the Key of Solomon is mentioned, it conjures the image of a mysterious book filled with knowledge that not everyone can access or fully understand. This book is attributed to King Solomon, a legendary figure in history known for his wisdom and supernatural powers. However, the oldest surviving manuscripts of the Key of Solomon only date back to the Middle Ages, specifically the 14th or 15th century, more than 2,500 years after Solomon's time. Although there are countless legends and stories surrounding the true origin of this book, scholars agree that it could not have been created during Solomon's era. Nevertheless, this has never diminished the allure or the influence of the Key of Solomon for those fascinated by magic and the unknown. The content of the Key of Solomon is divided into two main parts. The first part provides very detailed and careful instructions on how to prepare before carrying out any magical ritual. The practitioner must pray sincerely, confess their sins to purify their soul, fast for a certain period, cleanse their body with pure water, and perform a special bathing ritual before proceeding to the main ceremonies. These preparatory steps are considered essential, as inadequate preparation could result in unpredictable consequences for the practitioner. The second part of the book delves into rituals for summoning spirits, offering guidance on how to perform ancient spells or place curses upon others. These rituals always require the practitioner to maintain absolute focus and strict discipline, because even a small mistake could cause the spell to backfire or lead to unintended consequences for the magician. For this reason, the Key of Solomon is not just an ordinary book of magic, but a symbol of power, wisdom, and the inherent dangers of ancient knowledge. Over the centuries, the Key of Solomon has become an important reference for secret societies and mystical organizations in Europe, especially the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. Members of these groups have spent years studying each ritual and symbol in the book, hoping to access and use what they believe are the secret truths of the universe and magic. They believe that if one follows exactly what is written in the Key of Solomon, it is possible to communicate with spirits and even change one's own destiny. For anyone interested in ancient magic, or simply wishing to learn about unresolved mysteries, the Key of Solomon remains a name that cannot be overlooked. The Magical Treatise of Solomon. The Magical Treatise of Solomon is a book often referred to as the mysterious sibling, and is much less known compared to the Key of Solomon. Its full name is impressively long, Little Key of the Whole Art of Hydromancy, found by several craftsmen and by the holy prophet Solomon. Even from the title, the reader can sense the antiquity and mystique of the book, making anyone fascinated by the world of magic, curious to discover the secrets hidden within. This book dates back to the 15th century, but in reality, It is a compilation based on much older Greek manuscripts. These manuscripts were brought to Italy after the fall of the Byzantine Empire, ushering in a new era for the study and preservation of magical knowledge in Europe. Thanks to these historical upheavals, this ancient wisdom was not lost but continued to be copied, eventually forming a book of great value within humanity's treasure trove of grimoires. Many legends claim that King Solomon himself wrote this book specifically for his son, Rehoboam. According to these stories, after completing the work, Solomon hid the book deep within his tomb to protect the magical secrets from falling into unworthy hands. This element of mystery has made the magical treatise of Solomon a subject of debate and exploration for centuries. The magical content of the book is said to be more than 3,000 years old, leading many to believe that it is truly a relic from the most ancient times. However, modern scholars still question the book's actual connection to King Solomon. They argue that much of its content is likely the product of imagination or creativity from later compilers, rather than an original work by Solomon himself. Nevertheless, the magical treatise of Solomon still holds a special place in the hearts of those who study ancient magic, as it is both a symbol of esoteric knowledge and a testament to the enduring power of legends that have survived the tumult of human history. Le Petit Albert. Le Petit Albert is a small book of magic, but it became incredibly famous in France during the 18th century. This book was once sold widely throughout the countryside, appearing in the homes of ordinary farmers, as well as in the hands of sorcerers and those passionate about magic. Because of its popularity, Le Petit Albert became an indispensable part of the spiritual and folk belief life of France at that time. Many people believe that Le Petit Albert was the work of Albertus Magnus, a renowned philosopher and theologian of the Middle Ages. However, modern researchers have determined that it is actually a compilation of knowledge drawn from many different sources. The book was first published in 1706 under a fictitious publisher named Ches Herbeau. The use of a non-existent publisher also shows that the author and those who distributed the book wanted to avoid the strict control of the church and protect the secrecy of the magical knowledge within. The content of Le Petit Albert is extremely diverse and practical, addressing every need of the people, from personal relationships to daily life. The book provides instructions on performing love spells to attract the desired partner, guides on making amulets for self-protection, and presents mystical agricultural techniques to ensure abundant harvests or healthy livestock. In addition, Le Petit Albert contains secret recipes and magical practices to serve daily living. One of the most remarkable aspects of this book is the instruction on how to create the Hand of Glory, a magical talisman made from the hand of a dead man, hung up to produce an eerie light, said to be capable of opening any locked door or causing everyone in the house to fall into a deep sleep. Besides this, the book also includes alchemical formulas such as turning lead into gold, making artificial pearls, or performing magical acts that border on mysterious science, which many people today still find fascinating. Le Petit Albert is not just a book of magic. It is a vivid testament to the richness of human imagination, the spirit of experimentation, and the enduring desire to uncover secrets beyond the limits of ordinary understanding over the centuries. The Black Pullet, the black hen that lays golden eggs. The Black Pullet is one of the most bizarre and famous grimoires in France during the 18th century. The story of this book begins with an officer in Napoleon's army who miraculously survived the campaign in Egypt. According to legend, while all his comrades were killed, this officer was rescued by a mysterious old man living inside a pyramid. Not only did the old man save his life, but he also passed down to the French soldier all the ancient magical secrets he had accumulated over many generations. Thanks to this fateful encounter, the book The Black Pullet was created and quickly became one of the most sought-after grimoires among French occultists. The contents of the book focus on the creation of magical rings and protective amulets that have the power to shield the owner from danger, attract good fortune, or even control one's destiny. Additionally, the book provides instructions for rituals to summon spirits, how to communicate with supernatural forces, and how to open doors to knowledge buried deep within the shadows of the pyramids. The most remarkable and mysterious aspect of the Black Pullet is the legend of the black hen that can lay golden eggs. According to the book's instructions, whoever can craft and control this black hen will possess an inexhaustible treasure and unimaginable power. The image of the black hen laying golden eggs is not only a symbol of wealth, but also represents humanity's boundless desires and aspirations. Saint Cyprian of Carthage. Saint Cyprian is one of the real historical figures, remembered as the Bishop of Carthage. He is considered the second most important theologian in Africa, only after St. Augustine. The story of St. Cyprian's life is not only rich in historical context, but also holds profound lessons about faith, sacrifice, and steadfastness in the early Christian tradition. St. Cyprian was born in 190 into a wealthy family in Carthage, a major city in ancient North Africa. His childhood was spent in luxury, and he had access to the great knowledge and ideas of his era. However, Cyprian's life did not stop there. As an adult, he made the courageous decision to convert to Christianity, a choice that required great bravery, given the many social prejudices of the time. After becoming a Christian, Cyprian devoted himself to learning, self-discipline, and service to the church. He became a close friend of Pope Cornelius, and the two stood side by side through many difficult times, facing challenges from both within and outside the church. Throughout his tenure as bishop, Cyprian became known for his wisdom, kindness, and unwavering conviction in his theological beliefs. The life of Saint Cyprian ended in a tragic yet heroic manner when he was martyred in 258 during the reign of Emperor Valerian. Fully aware of the dangers that awaited him, Cyprian still chose to remain faithful to his beliefs until the very end. His death became a source of inspiration for many generations of followers, further cementing his place in Christian history as a symbol of courage, intellect, and steadfastness in the face of all trials. Cyprian of Antioch. Cyprian of Antioch is a figure shrouded in legend and folklore, entirely distinct from Saint Cyprian of Carthage. According to tradition, Cyprian of Antioch was originally a sorcerer renowned for his ability to perform magical rites and mysterious rituals. He is described as someone capable of summoning spirits, casting spells, and manipulating supernatural forces that ordinary people could scarcely comprehend. However, the story of Cyprian does not end there. After many twists of fate, he ultimately decided to renounce the path of magic, convert to Christianity, and eventually became a saint. This transformation only added to his mystique and enduring appeal. Over time, numerous magical books have been attributed to Cyprian of Antioch, coalescing into a famous grimoire known as the Book of Saint Cyprian. This book has even been called the Necronomicon of Catholicism, due to its mystery and immense influence in the world of the occult. The Book of Saint Cyprian is not merely a collection of ancient spells. It stands as a symbol of the intersection between faith, legend, and the imagination of generations. Many different versions of this book have been circulated throughout Portugal and Spain. Its contents include spells for finding treasure, attracting love, summoning spirits, exorcism, and even instructions for techniques known as animal magnetism or animal hypnosis. Each version carries its own unique features, reflecting the local culture and beliefs of the regions through which it has traveled. In Portugal, the Book of Saint Cyprian is not just a European book of magic, but a product of the blending of Iberian magic with African spiritual traditions. This is what makes the book so unique, both familiar to local people and, at the same time, regarded by the Portuguese Inquisition as a symbol of heresy, leading to its prohibition for centuries. Yet despite bans and prejudice, the Book of Saint Cyprian has continued to live on in the minds of those fascinated by the occult, becoming an indispensable part of the history of ancient grimoires. The Shigir Idol, Ancient Miracle and Mysterious Message. Hidden within the intricate patterns of the Shigir Idol is an ancient message that has puzzled scientists for decades. Could this be a code left behind by our ancestors? The Shigir Idol is the oldest wooden statue ever discovered, revered by scholars and historians alike. The statue was carved from the trunk of a tree that had lived for 159 years before being felled, with an estimated age of about 12,000 years. The Shigir Idol was perfectly preserved, buried 4 meters deep in the peat bogs of the Ural Mountains until it was uncovered by gold miners in the 19th century. Initially, the statue was assembled from 10 separate pieces, standing less than 3 meters tall, but after complete restoration, its height reaches 5.3 meters. Its surface is covered with many mysterious geometric motifs, sparking endless debate among researchers about their meaning. Some believe these are coded messages or record ancient mythological events. The statue bears 7 faces, which may symbolize ancient spirits revered by early people. The vertical arrangement of these faces may depict a sequence of mythological episodes. Some parts of the statue have been lost over time, with only drawings remaining, giving rise to various theories about the true meaning hidden in its patterns. Certain experts believe that these symbols form a type of code containing information about the creation of the world. The meaning of the central male face is also hotly debated. Some see it as a singing face, others as screaming, or perhaps representing a spirit. Dr. M. Gillen, a leading researcher from the Russian Academy of Sciences, suggests that these carvings may represent spirits rather than deities, reflecting the belief that even stone possesses a soul. Despite the many hypotheses, the identity of the Shigir idol's creator and the true purpose of the statue remain a mystery. Today, the Shigir idol is preserved at the Sverdlovsk Regional Museum of Local Lore in Russia, where it continues to fascinate and inspire admiration. As Dr. Gillen once said, "This is a masterpiece of immense emotional value and power. There is no other statue in the world like it." Prehistoric transportation, 22,000 years ago. Moving across the vast prehistoric landscapes was no easy task if you didn't have a cart or a wagon. You would have had to carry all your belongings yourself, dragging them along with 2 wooden poles. Certainly not the most ideal way to transport anything, unless you already had some kind of hauling device. According to traditional scientists, the wheel did not yet exist 22,000 years ago, but the reality is different. At White Sands National Park in New Mexico, archaeologists have discovered drag marks stretching up to 50 meters, proving that people of that era used a primitive transportation device before the wheel was ever invented. These parallel tracks extend across the gypsum sand dunes, with the footprints of adults and children scattered alongside. This is evidence that humans invented a form of transport very early on, possibly even arriving in the Americas earlier than previous theories suggest. These drag marks are traces of a group of prehistoric people moving through the desert. What puzzles scientists is what type of vehicle they used to create such long tracks. The research team believes these are the traces of a device called a travois. This isn't something you'd want to use for your daily commute. A travois is essentially a wheelless sled, 2 wooden poles crossed into an X shape, with one end lifted and pulled by a person while the other drags along the ground. It was used to carry food, belongings, and even children when necessary. It's fair to say that the problem of transporting kids has always been a headache for parents. While this discovery doesn't represent a technological breakthrough like the wheel or the chariot, it is still remarkable. If only there were wheel marks, or some clue to a mysterious, unknown vehicle, the find would be even more exciting. Nevertheless, the age of these marks is impressive. 22,000 years ago, people were crossing North America with homemade, wheelless carts. This discovery not only highlights the harsh survival struggles of our ancestors, but also stands as powerful evidence against the long-held theory that humans only arrived in the Americas about 15,000 years ago, after the end of the last ice age. Blombos Cave, evidence of intelligence and culture in the Stone Age. Imagine traveling back in time, long before the Great Pyramids of Egypt ever appeared, and setting foot in Blombos Cave on the southern coast of South Africa. Discovered in the 1990s by Professor Christopher Henshelwood, this cave has become a true treasure trove of archaeology, preserving countless artifacts dating back as far as 100,000 years. The objects found in Blombos Cave are nothing short of astonishing. Among them are bone tools crafted with remarkable skill, demonstrating a level of technical proficiency and understanding of materials that far surpasses previous assumptions about prehistoric humans. These are not merely crude tools, but carefully made objects with clear purposes, appearing much earlier than similar artifacts found elsewhere in the world. Such sophistication reveals that people of that era had achieved an advanced degree of thinking and creativity. In addition, archaeologists discovered numerous pieces of ochre engraved with abstract geometric patterns. These motifs are not simply decorative, but are seen as evidence of some of the earliest expressions of abstract thought. This suggests that the people at Blombos were capable of abstract reasoning, planning ahead, and expressing intangible ideas, a significant leap in the cognitive development of humankind, often referred to as the cognitive revolution. Moreover, the discovery of shell beads in the cave points to a culture that valued personal adornment, possibly for use in rituals or as social markers, perhaps to denote status or as a form of exchange. These beads might have been strung into necklaces or bracelets, serving as a medium for social communication or even as a kind of primitive currency. When comparing the ancient geometric engravings at Blombos to the complex animal paintings in Lascaux Cave in France, which date to around 17,000 years ago, we can see an overall picture of the evolution of art and human thought. While the Lascaux paintings are more elaborate and figurative, The abstract motifs and use of ochre at Blombos represent an earlier form of this evolutionary process, one that led to symbolic communication and visual art in humans. Findings from Blombos Cave have challenged many earlier assumptions about prehistoric people, offering profound insights into the evolution of human cognition, art, and social structure. They reveal a portrait of an ancient society that was complex, organized, and capable of creative thinking from a very early time, long before the emergence of the widely known civilizations of later ages. The City of the Dead. In the remote Prigorod district lies the ancient village of Dargavs, home to strange structures, now known as the City of the Dead. This place was once a center of Alan culture, a heritage that is clearly visible in its unique architectural style. The village is famous for its 99 stepped, pointed roof mausoleums with curved walls. Some mausoleums rise up to 4 stories tall and are constructed from large stone blocks bound together with lime mortar. The tombs have square openings in their walls, through which the bodies were placed inside. Some mausoleums are carved deep into the mountainside, accompanied by mysterious watchtowers believed to guard and watch over the souls of the departed as they sleep their eternal sleep. One particularly strange detail is the discovery of small wooden boats in some of the tombs, even though the region has no large rivers or traditions of river travel. These boats may symbolize the journey across the river to the afterlife. Very little is known about those who built these tombs or who lies buried within them, as the distinct cultural features have largely vanished with time. Many historians believe that a wave of plague, possibly the Black Death, devastated this area from the 16th to the 18th centuries, leading to the large number of graves and the disappearance of the once flourishing culture. When the epidemic struck, each family retreated into its own mausoleum, and most never emerged again. Today, even though Dargavs remains isolated among the high mountain ranges, it still draws tourists. However, locals are still cautious, as old legends warn of tragic fates for anyone bold enough to venture deep into the City of the Dead. The Cockno Stone. Hidden beneath the soil on the outskirts of Clydebank lies a mystery carved in stone. The Cockno Stone, a massive 42-ton slab adorned with intricate patterns, is one of the oldest artifacts in Europe. Spirals, concentric circles, and connecting grooves cover its surface, designs that researchers have yet to decipher for more than 5,000 years. Could these markings be a map of the sky, advanced calculations, or even ancient insights into the cosmos? For nearly 50 years, this enormous rock carving was deliberately buried, an extraordinary effort to protect it from vandalism. Now, after decades underground, archaeologists are once again beginning to unlock the secrets of the Cockno Stone. Discovered in 1887 by Reverend James Harvey, the Cockno Stone is considered one of the finest examples of Neolithic and Bronze Age rock art in Europe, now situated within a modern residential area. Interest in the stone surged in 1937 when archaeologist Ludovic McClellan Mann put forth a bold hypothesis. He suggested that the symbols on the Cockno Stone encoded astronomical knowledge, with the circles and spirals used to calculate eclipses or chart the stars. To test his theory, Mann drew grids and lines in yellow, red, and blue across the patterns, an act now regarded as vandalism, but at the time, it reflected his determination to unravel the stone's secrets. His theory remains unproven, but it has ensured that the Cockno Stone is counted among those relics that may hold lost knowledge. In 2015, after half a century underground, archaeologists led by Dr. Kenny Brophy of the University of Glasgow excavated the Cockno Stone for more detailed study. Modern techniques like 3D scanning and drone photography have revealed its mysterious patterns in unprecedented detail. Over 90 cup and ring marks, along with unique features such as four-toed footprints and unusual geometric shapes. Could these symbols be more than decorative art? New theories suggest they might be maps of ancient settlements, trade routes, or a system of prehistoric astronomical knowledge. Moreover, the uniformity and precision of the carved grooves suggest that ancient people may have used tools or techniques far ahead of their time. After a short return to the surface, the Cockno Stone was reburied in 2016 to preserve it for future generations. However, thanks to high-resolution scans, researchers continue to explore its mysteries as never before, raising new questions about its true purpose and the knowledge of prehistoric people. Do these ancient symbols contain clues to a forgotten chapter of human history? Or are they merely a glimpse into a prehistoric worldview that modern minds have yet to fully comprehend? Russia's Atlantis. In the summer of 2019, During a routine excavation, archaeologists discovered a mysterious artifact in the grave of a woman who lived more than 2,000 years ago. This object, which closely resembles a large modern phone case, was found in an area that researchers now call the Atlantis of Russia. The woman, whom scientists have named Natasha, was buried with what turned out to be a belt buckle crafted from black gemstone and inlaid with various semi-precious stones. Natasha's resting place lies in the Tuva region of Siberia, a site that was discovered by chance when the water level of a reservoir receded in the summer, exposing a vast stretch of dry land previously unknown to historians. This area turned out to be a necropolis, a waterlogged cemetery containing the remains of many different ancient civilizations. Most of the graves have been exceptionally well preserved, protected by the water from looting and the ravages of time. Archaeologists are only able to work here for a few weeks each year before the waters rise again. They have uncovered hundreds of graves, most belonging to women, each interred with personal items such as wooden combs, mirrors, and jewelry. In addition to Natasha and her mysterious belt buckle, many other graves contain the remains of women called fashionistas, a testament to the fine craftsmanship of this ancient society. One partially mummified body dressed in silk was identified as a leatherworker, revealing the diverse and respected roles women held in this culture. The exquisite artifacts and careful burials indicate that this ancient Siberian society held women in high regard. Russia's Atlantis continues to reveal new secrets with each grave that is unearthed. If you found these mysterious stories fascinating, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any of our upcoming discoveries. We'll see you in the next video.